Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari
Haribo!
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Jai Jai Prabhupada,
Prabhupada! Prabhupada!
Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande. Whoa. Whew. Welcome, everyone. Bhakta C has joined the party. Hare Krishna. We are continuing Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 18. Hare Krishna. Please repeat if you'd like. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Shinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasto Yabhadrani Vidhunoti Suhritsatam Nashtaprayashvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatirtamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Put this down a little bit. Alright, guys. Text 18, 1-8-18. Kuntyuvacha Namashe Purusham Tvadyam Ishvaram Prakrite Param Alakshang Sarva Bhutanam Antarbahiravastatam. Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all. Purport. Srimati Kunti Devi was quite aware that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, although he was playing the part of her nephew. Such an enlightened lady could not commit a mistake by offering obeisances unto her nephew. Therefore she addressed him as the original Purusha beyond the material cosmos. Although all living entities are also eternal, they are neither original nor infallible. The living entities are apt to fall down under the clutches of material nature, but the Lord is never like that. In the Vedas, therefore, he is described as the chief among all living entities, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. Then again, he is addressed as Ishvara, or the controller. The living entities, or the demigods like Chandra and Surya, are also to some extent Ishvara, but none of them is the supreme Ishvara, or the ultimate controller. He is the Parameshvara, or the Supersoul. He is both within and without. Although he was present before Srimati Kunti as her nephew, he was also within her and everyone else. In the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, the Lord says, I am situated in everyone's heart, and only due to me one remembers, forgets, and is cognizant, and so on. Through all the Vedas I am to be known because I am the compiler of the Vedas, and I am the teacher of the Vedanta. Queen Kunti affirms that the Lord, although both within and without all living beings, is still invisible. The Lord is, so to speak, a puzzle for the common man. Queen Kunti experienced personally that Lord Krishna was present before her, yet he entered within the womb of Uttara to save her embryo from the attack of Ashwatthama's Brahmastra. Kunti herself was puzzled about whether Sri Krishna is all-pervasive or localized. In fact, he is both, but he reserves the right of not being exposed to persons who are not surrendered souls. This checking curtain is called the Maya energy of the Supreme Lord, and it controls the limited vision of the rebellious soul. It is explained as follows. Maya javanika chanam agyadhokshajam avyayam nalakshyase mudhadrasha nato natyadharo yatha.
Can I say something quickly?
Yeah.
So it seems that because of this fact Prabhupada is pointing out, which is that the Lord is, so to speak, a puzzle for the common man, there are people who look at us and they just, it seems to be like that's a really good point for how people are so confused whenever they look at people who are devotees. They, like a lot of people think that matters of God and higher powers are absolutely just a matter of subjectivity and perspective. And it's all like, no one can know the truth. Have you ever had people like that talk to you?
Yes.
They're common, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's sort of what's it's because God is a puzzle for the common man. It's almost like that's the reason why.
Yeah, and but in the same at the same time, uh, let's see here. The Lord is, so to speak, a puzzle for the common man. Uh, and later on he says, but he reserves the right of not being exposed to persons who are not surrendered souls. This checking curtain is called the Maya energy of the Supreme Lord. So the Lord's Maya energy, Mahamaya, um, takes control of souls that are not interested in Krishna, and therefore they become puzzled by their desire, um, by their, the result of their desiring to be independent or rebel or whatever it is. They become puzzled. But people who surrender, the veil is lifted and they are not puzzled. So basically, it's by their desire. You know,
Yeah,
they choose to be.
Prabhupada. Yes, Prabhupada has also said in support of what you just said that atheism is a it comes from materialism.
Right. And basically the root of that is um, seeing oneself as separate from the Lord, desiring to enjoy independently of the Lord, uh, identifying with matter and so on.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So
Awesome.
they
Awesome.
become
Awesome.
puzzled. But even
Yes.
if you take the time and really break everything down scientifically, which is what basically Prabhupada does here, and throughout all his books. Um, they have like I've heard it explained like you have four states of consciousness. One is you basically have rational and irrational atheists, and rational and irrational theists. And basically, a rational theist can explain how materialism in general is all of it is irrational. And so, you have materialists in two categories of being rational or irrational. If you present a rational argument, or even a scientific argument to a materialistic person, why materialism may not be a good investment or a wise decision in general, if they're rational, they can accept it. But there's a class of materialists who will not accept it. They're irrational. And for the irrational materialistic person, the concept of atheism is there. It's like
Yeah.
it's basically like just the great illusion. But that's what they want. They don't want you know they don't want the truth. They want validating knowledge that validates their feelings and desires and the way they want to look at things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Prabhuji, may you please give an example, like a scientific reason why materialism is not a good investment, please?
Yeah, well, basically, because it's temporary, and temporary results from temporary activities doesn't satisfy the self. That's just one.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. What about you? You have any other thoughts, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I do actually. I liked that first verse that we read. I thought it was a really nice, like, concise description of the Lord. 18. Number 18. Me,
Pajapakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari. Are you pulling it up? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Jai. I pulled it up right now. Here
Okay.
we are. Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and you are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all. That's very relatable. I think that's a very good description what most people view God as.
Hmm.
So I was just giving appreciation for that.
Yeah, very nice, Prabhuji.
Like the
Well,
invisible nature. So many materialists don't like believe because Krishna is invisible, and but at the same time is within and without everything. So
right,
literally, he is everything, but still invisible. And so the not being able to see, I guess, because we can see with our spiritual eyes in a certain sense. But I don't know. I'm thinking of just the one sense of seeing, like invisibility, because we can hear and we can feel, but these all feel more like transcendental senses, you know, like they have meaning behind them
right,
because, yeah, because it's involved with Krishna. It's transcendental, and you can. It's Krishna's so difficult to describe. So, yeah, I was just giving appreciation for Krishna.
right. No, appreciate it, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Prabhu.
and that's a good point. People are very attached to seeing Krishna, and that is like, so many people. I mean, I've been out on book distribution, and people come up to me and say, "You believe in God, right? You're obviously religious because I'll be out there in a dhoti and stuff." And they're like, "Can you show me God?" Like they want me to like snap my fingers, and then Krishna appears in front of them, and they're very attached to seeing. And you know, people take that it's at face value, and it's like, okay, you can't see, he's not there. But uh, this also is like a factor that brings in, the factor of being surrendered. Because, they say in the Vedic conception, you see with your ears. So, like, we receive some knowledge, we hear about God. There is a reason why he's invisible in that way in the material world, because um, if he just was right there in front of everybody's faces, nobody could deny him. And this material world is meant for people who want to deny him and want to try to enjoy without him. So he's conspicuous by his absence. But at the same time, those who are here and have a change of heart and decide that they do want to see him, then there's a scientific process of bhakti that actually grants one the vision, which ultimately is Krishna, revealing himself to the devotee, where pure devotees can see Krishna everywhere. They see him everywhere. It's not just like theoretical in the mind or whatever. Like, they literally see Krishna. And yeah, like everyone here is facilitated to cultivate the conception that they desire. And so, one who is inclined towards atheism takes the phenomenal world in such a way to validate his claims and desires in that direction. But just as and they they have whatever, they have their scientific process, the materialistic science. But it's amazing that actually so have an equally, if not actually more, scientific presentation uh, to prove God's existence actually. But it's just not accepted because people just don't want to. If like Prabhupada says, this process is so scientific. It's like making. It's just like making a cake or making some pudding. Here's the ingredients. Here's the process. you do this activity and you do this step by step. You put it in the oven for this long or whatever, and if you do these certain things, then the result's going to be delicious pudding or whatever it is, cake. And you do the process, and then you see the result. Obviously, they're telling the truth. Scientific. It's like, yeah, God is invisible on this external material level, but actually He reveals Himself to His devotees through bhakti. Here's a process. You can apply it, and you can see for yourself. It's scientific. Anyway,
Very
they
good.
don't want that. Because it makes them remove themselves from being the center of the universe and their enjoyment, and it requires a little bit of selflessness, which is the opposite of the nature of the false ego, which is what they think they are. Anyway, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is nectar. This is real nectar. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you. I'm glad you brought that point up. Well, I'll keep reading here. I already read the shloka, so I'll read the translation of text 19. A continuation of the ecstatic description of God. Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna affirms that less intelligent persons mistake him to be an ordinary man like us, and they deride him. The same is confirmed herein by Queen Kunti. The less intelligent persons are those who rebel against the authority of the Lord. Such persons are known as Asuras. The Asuras cannot recognize the Lord's authority. When the Lord Himself appears amongst us as Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, or in His original form as Krishna, He performs many wonderful acts which are humanly impossible. As we shall find in the 10th canto of this great literature, Lord Sri Krishna exhibited His humanly impossible activities even from the days of His lying on the lap of His mother. He killed the Putana witch, although she smeared her breasts with poison just to kill the Lord. The Lord sucked her breast like a natural baby, and He sucked out her very life also. Similarly, He lifted the Govardhan hill just as a boy picks up a frog's umbrella, and stood several days continuously just to give protection to the residents of Vrindavan. These are some of the superhuman activities of the Lord described in the authoritative Vedic literatures like the Puranas, Itihasas, histories, and Upanishads. He has delivered wonderful instructions in the shape of the Bhagavad Gita. He has shown marvelous capacities as a hero, as a householder, as a teacher, and as a renouncer. He is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by such authoritative personalities as Vyas, Devala, Asita, Narada, Madhva, Shankar, Ramanuja, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and all other authorities of the line. He himself has declared as much in many places of the authentic literatures. And yet there is a class of men with demoniac mentality who are always reluctant to accept the Lord as the supreme absolute truth. This is partially due to their poor fund of knowledge and partially due to their stubborn obstinacy, which results from various misdeeds in the past and present. Such persons could not recognize Lord Sri Krishna even when He was present before them. Another difficulty is that those who depend more on their imperfect senses cannot realize Him as the Supreme Lord. Such persons are like the modern scientist. They want to know everything by their experimental knowledge, but it is not possible to know the Supreme Person by imperfect experimental knowledge. He is described herein as adhokshaja, or beyond the range of experimental knowledge. All our senses are imperfect. We claim to observe everything and anything, but we must admit that we can observe things under certain material conditions only, which are also beyond our control. The Lord is beyond the observation of sense perception. Queen Kunti accepts this deficiency of the conditioned soul, especially of the woman class who are less intelligent, For less intelligent men, there must be such things as temples, mosques, or churches, so that they may begin to recognize the authority of the Lord and hear about him from authorities in such holy places. For less intelligent men, this beginning of spiritual life is essential, and only foolish men decry the establishment of such places of worship, which are required to raise the standard of spiritual attributes for the mass of people. For less intelligent persons, bowing down before the authority of the Lord, as generally done in the temples, mosques, or churches, is as beneficial as it is for the advanced devotees to meditate upon him by active service. Wow, that's amazing. For
Can
less
you read that?
intelligent persons, bowing down before the authority of the Lord, as generally done in the temples, mosques, or churches, is as beneficial as it is for the advanced devotees to meditate upon him by active service. Hare Krishna. Wow.
Wow. One thing Prabhupada said, what was that line where he was saying about the scientists? They want to know everything by their experimental knowledge.
Correct.
That was so potent because it like that alone speaks for itself. It's does it get more self-explanatory when he says that they want to know everything by their experimental knowledge? It's so nice how he does that. That's the glory of Prabhupada right there.
The next sentence he says, but it is not possible to know the Supreme Person by imperfect experimental knowledge. And he goes on to
Imperfect.
explain how the senses are imperfect. And the scientists are, that's what they're using to gather their knowledge, is their knowledge acquiring senses. You know, seeing, smelling,
Yeah.
touching, tasting. Yeah, it's like, it's amazing. It's just like, if I'm sitting here and I hear a big thump on the roof, imagine we're all actually here at my house or whatever. We're in the same place and we hear a thump. Bucked Adam, I say, what was that? You might say, well, maybe a branch fell out of the tree. And then somebody else says, well, I don't know. It might have been a bird, like, fell out of the sky or something. Or, we can speculate, what is it? And then, we go out there and look, and it turns out that, you know, Dr. Cassidy actually was skydiving and landed on the roof with a parachute.
And just like the philosophers who are so clueless, we could even sit there and begin to believe, no, it has to be this way. It's probably this way, right? Like, yeah, I'm sure it was a bird. Like, somehow we'll just think we know.
Yeah, the point is, like, we can't, we don't have the power to see perfectly. We can't see what's going on in the next room through the wall. You can hear some noise and you can speculate about what's going on in there, but you really don't, you can't see it. And that's basically like, we're trying to use these senses to penetrate through the wall of, you know, material energy to understand what the truth is. We can't. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the illusion goes very deep. Obviously, like, we have some capacity to observe what's going on here, but the problem is that they're basing the knowledge off of how it looks to them. You know, what is gravity? What is, you know, is the planet round or flat, or how's the cosmos set up, or how do whatever, some patterns in nature, whatever it is, you know, like in the in science, like, in archaeology, paleontology, these different things are like discovering ancient buildings or artifacts and whatever. They have different ways of determining how old a thing is, carbon dating, this or that. They have like this technology, they can determine how old the rock is, and they have this, like, this is just one example. They have this technology and this system for dating, but then even within the scientific community, you got 10 different scientists and they all have different takes on actually how to use the technology, what actually the result is. Do we all agree? Like, they don't agree. They don't even, none of them even agree with each other. Anyway, Hare Krishna. And then that point about for less intelligent persons, bowing down before the authority of the Lord is as beneficial as for the advanced devotees to meditate on them by active service. I thought that was very significant too. There's a verse in Bhagavad Gita, I can't remember the number. There's a nice purport about this topic that this verse is meant for the modern man, because basically it's all about accepting the authority, the proper authority, and just by having that quality alone, one can actually achieve perfection. Even if maybe we're not perfect ourselves, we can't practice perfectly or whatever. If we're actually like surrendered to, like, let's say Srila Prabhupada, the authority of Srila Prabhupada, then actually just by having that submissive spirit, Krishna reveals to you how to make advancement, how to come to him. It's amazing. All right. Text 20. Tata paramahansanam muninam mamalatmanam bhakti yoga vidhanartam katam pashyemahi striyaha. You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we women know you perfectly? It's Queen Kunti. Purport. Even the greatest philosophical speculators cannot have access to the region of the Lord. It is said in the Upanishads that the supreme truth, the absolute personality of Godhead, is beyond the range of the thinking power of the greatest philosopher. He is unknowable by great learning or by the greatest brain. He is knowable only by one who has his mercy. Others may go on thinking about him for years together, yet he is unknowable. This very fact is corroborated by the queen, who is playing the part of an innocent woman. Women in general are unable to speculate like philosophers, but they are blessed by the Lord because they believe at once in the superiority and almightiness of the Lord, and thus they offer obeisances without reservation. The Lord is so kind that he does not show special favor only to one who is a great philosopher. He knows the sincerity of purpose. For this reason only, women generally assemble in great number in any sort of religious function. In every country and in every sect of religion, it appears that the women are more interested than the men. This simplicity of acceptance of the Lord's authority is more effective than showy, insincere religious fervor. So this is a very important verse in purport to understand, because there's so many comments we've heard throughout Prabhupada's purports in different sections in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam talking about, okay, women are less intelligent and this and that. There's different ways to understand that. One is that actually Prabhupada is talking about those who are not devotees, because obviously if one is a devotee, they're most intelligent, whether they're in a male body, woman body, whatever. But this purport right here is saying we hear Prabhupada say, talking about Krishna, he is unknowable by great learning or by the greatest brain. So like in our Western culture, basically it's and there's like a big premium put on intelligence. So like if someone is more intelligent than someone else, then it's generally thought that, okay, well then the more intelligent person's better. Or it's like, to call someone less intelligent is kind of like seen as an insult. But the perspective that Prabhupada's coming from here is like, intelligence is like a tool that we use either for the right reasons and to develop Krishna consciousness, or we misuse it in material enjoyment or whatever. So, like from the spiritual perspective, intelligence, it can be a great tool. It can be used nicely in Krishna's service, but it doesn't mean that a more intelligent person is higher or better than a less intelligent person. And basically, especially if they're misusing their intelligence. But here, like we're hearing the like a glorification of women in that um, women in general are unable to speculate like philosophers, but they are blessed by the Lord because they believe at once in the superiority and almightiness of the Lord, and thus they offer obeisances without reservation. So, like, reservation and like doubt is a function of the intelligence. So, like, if someone's like really super intelligent, the tendency is that they won't really surrender so easily. They got like, let me check. I don't really know about this. Let me look. Let me try to understand. Let me get some more information before, very reserved in giving oneself. So actually, in spiritual life, having great intelligence can actually be an obstacle. Whereas right here, we're hearing that they're blessed because they basically are have a tendency to give themselves easier, give their hearts fully without reservation, which is it's a superior spiritual quality than just having a big intelligence. So, Hare Krishna.
Nectar from Hare Krishna.
Yeah, yeah, that's a point that obviously people don't know how to take that point. You know, I've had I used in Denver giving classes. There's a lot of women, young women joining, coming through college preaching and things. And one time, this one uh, devotee, she was like newer. She's new, but she started coming. She became like a real serious, nice devotee, and she was really quiet. She didn't really talk too much, and she would come every day to the temple programs. And one day we were doing Bhagavad Gita class in the evening, and she actually raised her hand and asked a question. And she asked about this, and she asked about it so sincerely. And it wasn't like new to her; she'd been around for a little bit, but I could tell it was like something that had been like weighing on her heart and mind, but maybe was too shy to ask or whatever. So she asked, and I explained it, and she was like happy with that. Basically the same way I just explained it. And yeah, it's important to know how to explain this to people because at face value, people don't know how to take it. And then some even like men will hear it, and then they'll use it to maybe like justify or validate maybe some idea that they have that's not exactly favorable in devotional service or towards women or whatever. So it's important to know.
It's like this isn't that they can't like that women are not smart. It's saying that
Sorry.
women. Yeah. Um. Sorry. I was saying that men and women just think differently. It's not that one's like smarter than the other. It's just a different way of thinking.
Right.
And it's pretty obvious that like men and women like think like have like same thoughts, but like the way that we act and like point on the world, just being in different bodies and having like the effects of that and the social effects from that. So everyone has like men and women have different thinking, and even our body and our minds work differently from different hormones. So saying that men are think more intellectually or however you can say it, it's not saying that women are stupid. It's just saying that our brain think in a different kind of way than women, and it's even saying that women are better off because they serve and like be surrendered to Krishna and seeing his superiority.
Yeah, that's a good point. There are five. Um, we just heard about it yesterday. The five individuals that require protection. I'll try to remember them. Children, cows, women, old old people. What was the last one? Can't remember. I'm gonna find it really quick if nobody remembers. I got it right here. Brahmanas. Brahmanas, cows, women, children, old people. They need to be protected, and they are considered to be innocent. These five. So that's significant. And also, protection means like if you have, like, what do you protect? You have a lot of money, you got some jewels, you got some whatever, your expensive car or whatever, your house, like whatever valuables you have, you protect them. So they're valuable. But, like Bhakti Cassidy's saying, different nature, different duties, different strengths, different weakness. Actually, I'll just share, I've experienced in my life, in my personal family, I've seen like more traditional values, like in my grandparents, and I've seen like the most harmonious circumstance I've seen within a family unit. Basically, it was quite, I guess traditional is the word, and the men were like men, and the women were women, and the men did certain things, meant kind of like the man's jobs, and the women kind of did their thing, and it was like there was space for everyone to be in their own natural way, and it was in a way that was complementary. And I saw everyone was happier in that situation than other situations where it's like, the general nature of each, or trying to change it from what it's always been, where the people are, the men and women become uh, more anxiety, more stress, more misery. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty much, I'm a believer that Krishna made us our way, and if we can see our own strengths and weaknesses, and then see the strengths and weaknesses in others, and understand how to support one another, it can be very hard in the material world. Um, with Krishna in the center. But there's all the like new age ways of looking at things, and different experimental ways of understanding the dynamics are not helping. Hare Krishna. And we should all be humble. In other places, those of us in a male body are also put in our place, like, Hare Krishna. Anyway, any other points from anybody before I read on? Alright. I want to read a little bit more. Let me check the time here. Yeah, okay. 6:21. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and the other cowherd men of Vrindavan, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses. Purport. The Lord, being thus unapproachable by any material assets, out of unbounded and causeless mercy, descends on the earth as he is, in order to show his special mercy upon his unalloyed devotees and to demoniac persons. Krishna above all other incarnations because in this particular incarnation he is more approachable. In the Rama incarnation he remained a king's son from his very childhood, but in the incarnation of the son of a king, he at once left the shelter of his real father and mother, King Vasudeva and Queen Devaki, just after his appearance, and went to the lap of Yashoda Mai to play the part of an ordinary cowherd boy in the blessed Vrajabhumi, which is very sanctified because of his childhood pastimes. Therefore, Lord Krishna is more merciful than Lord Rama. He was undoubtedly very kind to Kunti's brother Vasudeva and the family. Had he not become the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, Queen Kunti could not claim him to be her nephew, and thus address Krishna in parental affection. But Nanda and Yashoda are more fortunate because they could relish the Lord's childhood pastimes, which are more attractive than all other pastimes. There is no parallel to his childhood pastimes as exhibited at Vrajabhumi, which are the prototypes of his eternal affairs, in the original Krishna Loka, described as the Chintamani Dham in the Brahma Samhita. Lord Krishna descended himself at Vrajabhumi with all his transcendental entourage and paraphernalia. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore confirmed that no one is as fortunate as the residents of Vrajabhumi, and specifically the cowherd girls, who dedicated their everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. His pastimes with Nanda and Yashoda and his pastimes with the cowherd men, and especially with the cowherd boys and the cows, have caused him to be known as Govinda. Lord Krishna as Govinda is more inclined to the brahmanas and the cows, indicating thereby that human prosperity depends more on these two items, namely Brahminical culture and cow protection. Lord Krishna is never satisfied where these are lacking. Hare Krishna. I'll read one more verse. Nama Pankajanabhaya, Nama Pankajamalane, Nama Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangraye. My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. Purport. Here are some of the specific symbolical marks on the spiritual body of the personality of Godhead, which distinguish his body from the bodies of all others. They are all special features of the body of the Lord. The Lord may appear as one of us, but he is always distinct by his specific bodily features. Srimati Kunti claims herself unfit to see the Lord because of her being a woman. This is claimed because women, Shudras, the labor class, and the Dvijabandhus, or the wretched descendants of the higher three classes, are unfit by intelligence to understand transcendental subject matter concerning the spiritual name, fame, attributes, forms, and so on of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Such persons, although they are unfit to enter into the spiritual affairs of the Lord, can see him as the Archa Vigraha, who descends to the material world just to distribute favors to the fallen souls, including the above-mentioned women, Shudras, and Dvijabandhus. Because such fallen souls cannot see anything beyond matter, the Lord condescends to enter into each and every one of the innumerable universes as the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. If anybody feels inspired to look up condescends in the way that Prabhupada is using it there, that'd be really cool. The Lord condescends to enter into each and every one of the innumerable universes as the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, who grows a lotus stem from the lotus-like depression in the center of his transcendental abdomen, and thus Brahma, the first living being in the universe, is born. Therefore, the Lord is known as the Pankajanabi. The Pankajanabi Lord accepts the Archa Vigraha, his transcendental form, in different elements, namely a form within the mind, a form made of wood, a form made of earth, a form made of metal. I almost read metal as cereal. A form made of cereal. A form made of metal, a form made of jewel, a form made of paint, a form drawn on sand, and so on. All such forms of the Lord are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, and there should be a soothing atmosphere in the temple of worship to attract the burning attention of the non-devotees always engaged in material wranglings. The meditators worship a form within the mind. Therefore, the Lord is merciful even to the women, Shudras, and Dvijabandhus, provided they agree to visit the temple of worship in different forms made for them. Such temple visitors are not idolaters, as alleged by some men with a poor fund of knowledge. All the great acharyas established such temples of worship in all places just to favor the less intelligent. And one should not pose himself as transcending the stage of temple worship while one is actually in the category of the Shudras and the woman or less. One should begin to see the Lord from his lotus feet, gradually rising to the thighs, waist, chest, and face. One should not try to look at the face of the Lord without being accustomed to seeing the lotus feet of the Lord. Srimati Kunti, because of her being the aunt of the Lord, did not begin to see the Lord from the lotus feet because the Lord might feel ashamed. And thus Kunti Devi, just to save a painful situation for the Lord, began to see the Lord just above his lotus feet. That is, from the waist of the Lord, gradually rising to the face, and then down to the lotus feet. In the round, everything there is in order. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, the word condescends. Jay, the word condescends was it can also mean like to do something that one regards as beneath one's social rank or dignity, or to lower oneself, or to like stoop.
Interesting. Thank you for that.
Jay.
Hare Krishna. I'll end the reading portion there, if anybody wants to share. Ishani Mataji, if you want to share anything, I'd like to ask you to share your thoughts on today's topic since you are in a woman body. If you agree, disagree, or have any other insights, would be nice.
This is a difficult one for me, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I've been around since I'm 16, and this is one of the hardest topics and subject matters for a woman is to listen to. Um, Basically, being told that we're not as intelligent as the men, I'm still learning to control my senses, to be honest, when I hear these scriptures, and I know I'm just a work in progress, but it's very difficult for me. I'm a botanist. Um, I have a lot of different education. So if it's in the form of the man is their ego is too big, so I can understand how it would be easier for us to just unintelligently follow and be subservient to God just in a surrender form, because I felt like that immediately without knowing the scripture. So maybe if it's that way, but I really struggle being told that I'm not as intelligent sometimes because I also am like, but I'm not the body. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So this is one of those things that I bite my tongue with quite often, and I just accept because I am a very fiery and very passionate person. This has been something that's very difficult for me, though, for years in our scripture. But I accept it and I just move forward. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. I just accept because I follow Prabhupada. And if Prabhupada says, then that's what I accept.
Well, that's funny. I appreciate you sharing that because, like, that's the exact example of basically the the higher qualification of women that we learned in Prabhupada's purport today. You know, your ability
Yeah.
to do that is like it's actually the most intelligent thing. You know, that's to be able to do that is more glorified than like someone having a certain like discrimination power in their intelligence or whatever, because you're surrendering. You know, you surrender to the Lord's pure devotee. You're surrendered to the Lord, And
Yeah.
that's that action is actually superior to, not in my words, but in
Look, I'm
what
like, I
Prabhupada
don't know.
teaches.
I just accept.
Yeah, and then also remember it's a big generalization. So it's like um, of nature, but of the difference of nature between men and women. So I mean, you may be more intelligent than 75% of guys. So it's like
Maybe.
you know,
And maybe
gen-
not. Who knows?
yeah.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, and I think
Right.
it takes a higher intelligence to be able to accept what a pure devotee is telling and instructing, even if it doesn't really match up with how I think or what I feel. Like that's way more important and superior than anything, because just like we heard today, just by doing that, like Krishna can reveal everything, give everything. So, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I like the word that Prabhupada used. He said speculate. Like men are like I don't have it right in front of me, but he used the word speculate instead of like intelligence. And I used the word smart earlier. Like I don't it's not that women are not smart and that men are smarter because we are more speculative, like and that makes us therefore more intelligent. Um I think that's like the big issue that we come across like when we hear like devotees talking about it, or like we hear some like rude devotees like putting women down sometimes about it, and it's just they have it they're misunderstood also. They're just as misunderstood as like the people that they're preaching that to, and that have these traumas from it, because it's just having to live your life being kind of told that you're stupid is it's not right.
Right.
So yeah, and I love the glorification of it too, that Prabhupada puts the sentence, maybe even in the same sentence or the sentence after that, uh, they have the superior uh, quality of surrender. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and like from a spiritual perspective, surrender is basically the most intelligent thing you can do. So it's very funny. Like, and intelligence also is like it's a discernment power in a specific way, like you're saying. I like that you pointed out that it's not about how smart one is necessarily, but it's like one example people bring up is like um, just like being innocent. You tend to want to see like the innocence and the good intentions in others, and like we see, I've seen like women be taken advantage of because they're not thinking that this guy or whoever is actually trying to take advantage of them, or they're not looking into it that way, because they're innocent, they don't think that way, they don't think that they would think that way. But whereas like a like hyper intelligent type of person is kind of like always kind of like not so quick to give oneself, I guess is the way to put it. But anyway, Hare Krishna. Just some thoughts. So, yeah, I notice like not every time, but sometimes you don't tune in a lot, and then like one time you tune in, then like that comes up, and I'm always thinking, I wonder how she feels about that. I was just like, whatever. Maybe if it comes up, and then I thought, maybe we'll say something today because it is important.
I appreciate it. Can I say something really quick? It's so funny. This is the first time I've probably not hung up or left the Zoom call. When this topic comes up, I'm normally like, okay, goodbye, quick. So this is good. I feel comfortable with you guys, and that's fine. Like, you have all been really approached this very nicely. This has been a very different taste. So thank you guys all. It's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we really appreciate that. Thank you for
Yeah.
sticking around. Yeah, it's important for us to understand this. Even like as brahmachari, um, I was like training brahmacharis, like, you know, try to understanding. I was trying to understand it myself. Like, what is Prabhupada actually saying? Because, the way I understand what Prabhupada is giving is Krishna consciousness means, basically it's the highest love and respect for everyone, for Krishna, for all his parts and parcels. So, and that's what I understand as Prabhupada is giving the highest culture of love and respect for all living entities, everything. So try to understand all points that he's making in that context. And that is ultimately, like, I'm convinced what Prabhupada is giving. So sometimes it's a matter of uh, understanding the context of what's being said. Because, like, it's very, a lot of people, they'll, like, read Prabhupada's books and, like, look at little sections and see something and then come to these conclusions, but they don't read the whole. This is why we read systematically also, because it gives a certain continuity of the subject matter in its entirety. So then you can, like, get a bigger context of what's going on and not get confused as much. So, Hare Krishna. Anyway.
Yeah, it's funny that it's like actually more speculative. We're told not to speculate, but that's what like the man's brain does, and it's like then yeah. I'm just thinking that like a lot of this uh, kind of speculation and all of it. I'm appreciating that women have less of it, I guess, in a way
Yeah,
that they can.
yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, because a guy might hear that and be like, "What? I can't think. Like, I'm supposed to not. I'm not. I'm supposed to like not think for myself. Like what the? But yeah,
Yeah,
we gotta stop
yeah.
speculating.
Mm.
Surrender a little bit. Accept some authority. Yeah, I was gonna say something else, but I forgot what it was. Hare Krishna. So, all right. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, and yeah, I guess that's all I got. Unless anybody else wants to share anything.
Good
Thanks for sticking.
nectar.
Great. All right, Prabhuji's. Thanks for sticking it out. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you,
Jai.
Prabhu.
Vancha
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
kalpatarubyascha
Atubhyashta
kripa
kripa
sindhu
sindhubhya
evacha patitanam
nanang
pavanebhyo
bhavanebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
namo
namo
namaha
namaha.
Nantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki
Jay.
jai. I remember I just read this also, and I've heard this before actually, that whole point, the whole thing we were talking about, that doesn't even apply to devotees. So that's also there.
All right, well,
So, Hare Krishna. All right, Haribol.
thank you. Hare well.
Thank you.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna.